All right.
I
Well,
like your wallpaper.
congratulations, guys. The documentary was so amazing.
Cheers, dude.
Thanks, dude.
So I just want to know the timetable for this, because when did you start shooting this, and when did he start really like training and stuff? Because I've been like following his quote wrestling career for a while, you know.
Well, we started in April 2018, and he had already decided to get back into it. He was like skirting around some of the indie scenes and some of the sort of WrestleMania events.
Yeah.
Then we basically pitched our approach, and we were greenlit within like 3 days. We were just like, okay, let's start it. Let's start the backstory. Let's start the health problems, because we knew there was lots of health problems. He was overweight, and yeah, it went on for pretty much 2 years, and he's still in it now, you know.
Very nice. I always fell for him, and and because to me, like, if I was in David's shoes back in 1999, I would have taken the world championship belt also. And I kind of liked that how DDP like mentioned that, like, you know, most fans who complain about it would have done the same thing, you know. It's like, I mean, and then, you know, obviously WWE kind of repeated that with the tag team championship with Kid winning it, you know. I didn't realize how much that had really affected him, you know, like it really strained on him, which really kind of really put this whole storyline together for this documentary, you know.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it was such an emotional drain on him, especially as an actor too. I mean, the irony that an actor had gone in and acted perfectly to get the belt, and then was just spit on. Like, fans would spit on David if he went to a wrestling match. Like, he was that vilified in the wrestling world. It was just ridiculous. And so there's so much kitsch humor to it, but there is a genuine like search for redemption that he's always had. And so he wanted to do this, you know, like it wasn't just for redemption in the wrestling world. Like, he was in a really bad place when we started the project. He was like way overweight and suffering from a lot of different issues. And so he needed to go on this journey for redemption, but also as a journey of reinvention for himself. And so there's that beautiful parallel storyline in the film between the humor of wrestling and the tragedy of what he's gone through in life.
Yeah, it's also like, you know, to be a heel which is what he kind of became. You know, he became a scapegoat and a heel in wrestling. But for someone who wasn't really from wrestling, to have that venom like attacked at you, know, to be attacked with that real venom, and you're not used to it, and you're a sensitive artist, really. He's like, you know, he's a kind of like a Renaissance man savant, right? And he's a sensitive guy, and he has health problems, mental problems. You know, a lot of artists do. And so to have that attack, literally for 20 years, I mean, this is the reality of the story. So then to try and overcome that was so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I really loved when they went down to Mexico to train. And who would have thought there was this thing called street wrestling when there's a red light? Why is this not at every stoplight in America? Because I would gladly pay for that.
Yeah, definitely health and safety Americana.
Yeah, I guess try anything about that. So is that a big thing down there? Like, that was really cool, you know?
No, I wouldn't say a big thing, but it's definitely a thing.
That was a niche we totally found. That was kind of given to us from the luchas that we had approached, like Darg and his one of his fixers found these incredible luchadors who were like, yeah, come on, we'll put you through your paces, we'll break you, we'll make you sweat, we don't care you're a Hollywood star, we're gonna treat you like a normal trainee lucha. So then they were like, do you want to come and see some street wrestling? We're like, yeah. And like, but then obviously we didn't know we were going to lose our lives. We were like in the middle of like 8 lanes of traffic, like, you know, just like a Tony Scott film from the 90s, just chaos and like, you know, police driving past, and it was just kind of guerrilla, and it was one of the best sequences in the whole film.
Yeah, I can only imagine, but it was really hard to like film that whole sequence.
It was wild, man. It was wild. But yeah, I mean, talk about stripping him down to bare bones. That was sort of the start of David's humility, right? So he approached it like, I'm going to get back into it, and he started training and everything. But then the luchas like tore him down. And I mean, those guys wrestling on the street were basically doing it almost as beggars. Like, they'd perform, they'd do street performances, and then they'd go beg. And so we had David Arquette like begging on the streets of Mexico. So he like had to go to that low to then build himself back up. It was
sad when no one was giving him anything the first attempt, and then like, you know, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, there's a guy who just like high fives him and psychs him out. And like, there's just you could write it, but you couldn't. You didn't think it would actually happen. It was like it just happened in the moment. It was kind of amazing.
The last time I interviewed David, I think it was back in May 2019 at the George Lopez Celebrity Golf Carpet, or red carpet for that event. And he was talking about he had an upcoming match with Peter Avalon, I guess, who he talked about how much he meant to him as a trainer. So it was cool to actually see Peter training him in this. And actually, they built a ring in his backyard. And the impression of David's wife is like, "We own this?" Like, you know,
Yeah, cue music.
Yeah. No, he took it seriously. And for us, like that was exciting because as filmmakers, he came to us with an idea and we loved what the idea had the potential to be. But we're nervous. Like, okay, you're super overweight and you've not got a great track record at like completing stuff. Are you actually going to do this? And so we start the cameras rolling. And then to see him actually commit, lose the weight, learn the moves, like, conquer his demons. It was like super exciting for us to follow it. And I think the film captures that energy of like evolution. You're seeing this guy reinvent himself. You're seeing his family go from like not believing in him to like just like being so excited for him. And so like it's a really beautiful journey.
I love it. I'm a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan, and there was a moment where Billy Corgan was in the ring with David. It looks like they were shaving someone's head. I assume it was an NWA event because Billy owns that. Where was that at? You know?
That was in Nashville. And yeah, Price and I are both huge Pumpkins fans. And the only reason we made this film is because there was a potentially off chance that we get to meet Billy. And it turned out that we did. So everything worked out great.
Yeah, Billy and Jake the Snake.
Yeah. And it was cool to see DDP, that beautiful cinematography with him. Like, I guess it was like a rainforest beach. He was doing yoga. It was in Mexico. Mentioned that obviously the yoga worked for David, and you mentioned Jake the Snake, so it was cool to see that aspect into it. Talk about working with DDP. He's like so nice.
No, he's a sweetheart.
Yeah. No, he has that whole thing now. DDP Yoga is his like brand right now, and he's like helping people with all sorts of weight issues and health issues through that. And so it was natural for David obviously to go to DDP since they were partners in the WCW.
WCW, in the movie.
But yeah, it's just so cool to see them like reunited and laughing about the good old days. And obviously DDP, like, he took on some of the burden of David's pain because he knew he was partly responsible, having been part of the storyline.
Yeah.
And so for him to mentor David back into and get back into it was a really sweet and special part of the film.
It was like, and it perfectly played into the sort of, some of the sort of retro sports action movie tropes, like the sort of, like the Miyagi and Karate Kid. On the beach, it's the same score as used in Karate Kid. So it's,
really?
There's a lot of nods to all of our favorite kind of movies of that time, learning from the guru, and like, who better a guru than DDP?
No, honestly, I started doing yoga because of DDP. I mean, like, I always thought it was more something else, but, You have
to call it DDP yoga, he gets really offended.
DDP yoga, sorry. Don't want to get cut.
Yeah, he stepped up to me a few times. I'm like, yeah, so are you going to do yoga today? He's like, DDP yoga.
I had no idea David was really close friends with Luke Perry, and Luke Perry was with him during the famous, death match. So they get to see, actually took David to the hospital, and obviously, relationship with Jungle Boy was cool to see that in this documentary. Yeah,
they grew up together pretty much. Like, Luke was close friends with David's family, his sisters, and Luke actually lived with the Arquettes when they were younger, when he was doing 90210. So they're really close. And obviously Luke passed away, sadly, during the production of the film. Yeah. And so plays into the storyline and really sent David on a downward spiral at one point, and like, that just shows how sensitive, you don't have to be sensitive to more than the loss of a good friend, but anything can trigger David. And it was a really tough moment during the production and during that moment in his life. And you see it play out in just like sort of a really difficult time that almost contributes to the loss of his marriage and everything. And so it was a tough time for everyone. As filmmakers, we'd also grown very close to David too. So for us to see him, get a lot of physical abuse in the ring and also mental abuse and outside of the ring was tough on us to see him go through that as well.
Very cool. I think the ultimate promotion for this, and I guess it probably depends how well this documentary does, is to have David challenge Cody for the TNT championship just for the one-off match. I don't know if that's ever possible or not. Or
there's been murmurs about
time wrestlings for this movie at all, or
No, there's been murmurs. You know, actually, we wanted Cody to be in the film at one point, and we were talking to those guys about the potential of him being the end fight, you know, instead of Mr. Anderson, who turned out to be an incredible opponent.
Oh yeah, that was great.
But it happened right as Cody got injured, so it didn't work out. But Cody would have been amazing. What a villain, you know.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
we saw him in the Chicago match when he came out and ripped his shirt and he had wolves. We're like, dude, that's the best end fight character you could ever wish for. But,
oh, look at your background. Well, very cool. This movie, if you're a diehard wrestling fan, you'll love this documentary. Even if you're just a film fan, documentary fan, you probably just know who David Arquette is. You're going to love his story, beginning, middle, and end. You want to see his journey going forward. So thanks for watching, everyone. Please support this video by giving it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and hit that subscribe button while you're down there. Thank you so much.